Our girl Kiki's pregnant. Shout out Kiki, sister Kiki. I'm trying to give us a nice background visual right now. If you're listening on the podcast, I'm giving you some background music. You know, that's Mr. Andre Crouch, circa 1970 something. I'm obsessed with my records and my record player. I need to build a stronger collection, but collecting records over the years without having a record player definitely played off. All right, enjoy these tunes. Hopefully, it's not gonna make this video copyright. We spitballing here. Clearly, I don't even know if I have a name for this podcast yet. So, welcome. Please hold. I don't know if that's any much better. Oh, but I'm glad. So glad he did. Thank you, Mr. Andre. Okay. I really don't know if I'm going to regret turning on the TV in the background or not. But maybe I'll fixate myself a little like this. Because, like, let me give you an example of what it looks like with it off. You see, like, it just looks a bit empty. I don't know. Okay, we're 3 minutes in, and a podcast has been on my spirit for a while, obviously. I had a failed attempt at the top of this year, released 1 episode, had plans for 3 more, did the notes and everything, and got a bit discouraged and overwhelmed. But we're not doing that on this podcast. We're not mulling over things that we didn't accomplish, but I am like giving credit where I was able to find a way. So I had did a video at the top of the year and talked about some of the ideas that I wanted to release into the world. One of them was New Gen Gallery, which I'm still really, really proud of. And I've been curating on this year. We don't have the website, but I have lots of revelation as to how my own personal artistry is actually tied into my ability to create and flesh New Gen out in a way. But I did curate my first show with my really good friend Yami. Shout out Yami. That's a big deal. And Playlist Posse, my like favorite fun project. We have released a playlist almost every month this year. We're going strong. The website's going strong. It's been updated. It had a little bit of a dead spot for about 3 months, but we updated it. And I think I'm like oscillating between just not doing like the campaign, like the email campaigns, because it just doesn't, like, it's smart to capture emails, but it just doesn't feel necessary. I just released them on IG, you know, and the email has like less than 20 subscribers. So it just feels more wise, time wise, and financially wise to just concentrate on having a landing website where people can see the past playlists. You know, that's fine. I love having it on a website. I think that's really important. But just updating through Instagram, like I don't know if it needs to make it to everyone's emails. I don't know. Anyway, I'm clearly recording a podcast, I guess. I don't really know if it's a podcast. I don't really know if it's just a one-off. I'm very removed from the internet world right now, which I'll explain in a bit. And I guess it's prompted me to think of slower, more intentional ways of sharing things that I want to say. I'm definitely a person that's been pulled in the Instagram rabbit hole. And there'll be times where I am intentionally on a trip and I have to intentionally not post. But then I still get these temptations I should post. Or I may break it for a day. Because there's this sense of having a lot to release or having a lot of things that you're observing and wanting them to exist somewhere in a consolidated thought. But I'm kind of tired of giving other platforms putting money in their hands and not really seeking authentic ways for me to express that require a little bit more intention, a little bit more time, but also could yield the ability to be a bit more financially stable if I'm able to stop giving so quickly. And that's not to say I don't know, that's not to praise the creative that tries to find all these passive streams of income, because I feel like I'm very on the opposite side of that spectrum. But I do feel this need to be more reflective and to pause. And I think with intention, time, and quality comes the ability to potentially be doing something that you love, but also be able to make revenue, because life is expensive. And more on that in a bit as well. I guess now is the bit. So, I feel like I just breathed a lot. So, I was in London. I was looking at the Instagram story actually this morning, and I was like, wow, that was 3 weeks ago. I was in London 3 weeks ago, and I feel like I have lived 5 lives since then. London is amazing. It's my favorite city in the world that I've been to thus far, though I doubt that will change. I had my phone stolen 2 days into a 2-week trip. And how I'll kind of give you a visual of how it happened. I was at a bus stop waiting. I had just come from a Toby Nwigwe show. Shout out Tobe. He was performing in London. But the day before, I went to Kendrick, which was a huge motivator for the time frame that I picked. Amazing show. One of the best that I've ever seen. So anyways, this is the second day. And so concert. Kendrick, Tobe. I'm outside the bus stop at the end because we had kind of a brief conversation. I ran into some people that I recognized from online, and they were kind of yeah, you can take the bus. It's 20 stops. I was like, to me that's a lot, but it's really, really normal in London to commute at least 50 minutes. So it was about an hour bus ride, but it was a straight shoot to where I needed to be. And trains have limited times and blah, blah, blah. And it was around 11. So I go to the bus stop. As I walk to the bus stop, I see the bus that I need to get on leave. So I was like, dang, just missed it. Okay, 12 minutes, fine, I can wait. Next one comes, drives right past us, and it's a bit late. And so this other black lady's like, I ain't waiting. I'm not waiting another 20 minutes. That was pretty bad. I'm not waiting another 20 minutes. Something like that. And so she leaves, which should have been my sign because, she's from there. But no, I stayed at the bus stop, was leaning, watching TikToks, waiting for another bus to come. At this point, it's like, Kim, call a Lyft. Girl. Like, I know you're trying to save coins, but, like, it's 11:30 in a foreign country and you're at a bus stop. In my defense, it was well lit and there were a lot of people around me, like at least 10 people at the bus stop. Nothing about it gave unsafe, except for when you look at it retrospectively. So, anyways, person comes behind me on like this like moped, very, very quiet bike, and is like, oi. And when I look up, they just like ride past me. And then when I look down, my phone is gone. In sheer confusion, because like they were so quick that like they were at least 15 feet in front of me when I noticed they took the phone out of my hand, because it's so like disorienting because you're just not expecting something like that. And I start running instinctively, and like, girl, you're not keeping up with a bike. And I'm just like in the middle of the road and I'm just like, what just happened? So mind you, my phone is on there, but also my Apple wallet, like the actual MagSafe, not the digital, my MagSafe wallet with my Apple card that I had like paid off to use during the trip, my ID, and my business card. So like my 3 main cards. That's the cards that I walk around with. And I have a large wallet that I leave at home, and I brought it with me, just as backup. But yeah, I'm looking around and I'm like, what just happened? I don't have money. I don't have a phone. I can't navigate myself home. I can't pay to get home. So, and I'm in a new country. Thank God the apartment had a name. So I knew the name. Whew. Yeah, I'm just looking around, like feeling so vulnerable. And then 2 guys that saw what happened, like came and they were like, hey, I'm so sorry. I was like, did you see what happened? They're like, yeah. I was like, is that common? Like what? She was like, I was just like, my guards were just not. It's like, yeah, it's getting a bit popular more around this area. So it's 2 guys, and they were trying to call me an Uber, but for like 10 minutes, and they kept canceling. And I'm like just standing there trying to like process. And so I was like, hey, like, I appreciate you all, but I don't want to like inconvenience you. So I'll like walk back to the venue. They offered to walk back with me. At this point, even that feels like unsafe because you're like, are you in on it? Like you're just like, they weren't, but it was just like something traumatic has kind of just happened. So now you're just like running on adrenaline and low-key paranoid. And so go back to the venue. The security's like, the doors are locked and the security's by the door, and I'm like knocking and I'm trying to like, and they open the door. I was like, hey, my phone and wallet was just stolen. I was just at this event. Is there any way to call a cab? Or like any procedural things that you guys, and they're like, oh, like, yeah, go around the corner, like you can like, and I go around the corner and I'm like, it's a loading deck, sir. So go back around, and as I go back around, Tobe comes out and he's greeting like some people that had stayed behind to buy merch, and waited kind of awkwardly, and then was able to have his manager call me an Uber, and the Uber came, and I went home, or back to the Airbnb. And I was in my room like, what just happened? I had a whole drive with someone that was kind of like, trying to reassure me, trying to like find out what happened. I was just disoriented, but still trying to like keep it together, like it's okay. Like maybe they needed it. Like, but I'm just like so out of it. I get back. I don't have the right charger for the UK to charge my laptop yet. I only had one for my phone. And it kind of works, but it's just not enough power. And so the laptop wasn't coming on because I wanted to hop on to be able to Find My. I was like, there has to be an Apple laptop charger in this house. And so I looked downstairs, didn't see any. Went back downstairs again, looked in the kitchen, like looked, in the visible areas in the room. Then I was like, oh shoot, this is a computer desk. Looked in the computer desk of that Airbnb space, and sure enough, there was one there. Charged the laptop, saw the last location, then filed a police report. And then the police, I was able to borrow the Airbnb. There was another person staying in the Airbnb because the owner had gone out of town. So I was able to use their phone to contact the authorities. They set an appointment with me for 7 p.m. that night. This was 2 a.m., So I was like, okay, well, no urgency here. Can't count on that. And they kind of were like, yeah, the location's probably inaccurate. But the location was like 8 minutes away from the venue, like where it was stolen. And fast forward, the location was the same when they tried to connect 2 days later. So it kind of bummed me out that the police didn't have more urgency. I felt like there were things that were there to assure something was going on at that location, and like I'm in a foreign country, even though I got family there, like I'm not pulling up on nobody. If I was in the US, probably, but like I'm not gonna lose my life over a phone. So that Friday, I, don't go to sleep until 4 maybe. I was able to like contact family on like FaceTime, and I probably woke up at 8 a.m. Like I just didn't get much sleep. It was very like, so yeah, even as I'm talking about it now, it's like I felt very out of control. Like someone had just robbed me of like a very essential tool, that's a part of travel, much less like my cards and stuff. Because the reality is like I could have still gotten by with them stealing my cards. Because at least I would have had Apple Pay in certain ways. Like you can pay from your phone in a lot of ways. And like I can turn it on and off, like if I'm about to purchase something, So it's like, yeah, it was just a very humbling feeling. But at 11 a.m., and my mom was really good at encouraging me. And like I got some peace before I went to bed because I realized like, oh, this an attack. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this may sound like too hoaxy pokesy, I don't know. Like I know there's a purpose to me being in London, not just in that moment, but like for the future. And so fast forward to about 11 o'clock that day, I finally hear back from a university that I'm wanting to tour out there that I'm interested in. And they confirm the ability for me to come do the tour. And I was like, yeah, 2 works. That's great. And so I like get ready for the day. I go to the grocery store and buy a cheap Tesco phone. If you are from London, you know Tesco. It's like a $50 smartphone, like the cheapest phone you can buy. Because it's like, why am I spending a bunch of money on a phone I'm going to use for 2 weeks? And it's still here. I've still been using it in the US. Fun fact. So, yeah, grab the phone, take the bus, head to the school, pull out my laptop just to kind of get a better direction of where I'm going, and then had to kind of ask a security. Because again, like I can't GPS a specific address. I have to like go in the vicinity and then kind of like figure it out. So meet up, do the tour. It's amazing. Lots of like peace and excitement about that potential opportunity within the next like 2 to 3 years. More on that at another point, probably. But yeah, so it was just kind of like this really like glimpse of potential life in London in the near-ish future, and then like the reality of something happening that's like really really tainting your experience. So it was kind of like this like conflict, and yeah, gave myself that day to be bummed. After that, I just went back to the Airbnb. Like I went to the school, it was great, shout out to Izzy, and then grabbed some Ethiopian food like down the street from the Airbnb and just went home. And at that point I'm like dead tired because I'm like jet lagged and I only had 4 hours of sleep. So I'm like trying to stay up, like watching a show, and then subsequently I fall asleep because I wake up to just like knocking on the door, and it was the cops. So now they're here to take my statement, and they do. They're nice people, but like I knew nothing was gonna really like happen in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So, fun fact though, I found out that most officers in the UK don't use a gun. Like they don't carry a gun. I'll leave that there. Um yeah, the next day I met up with someone that shout out Playlist Posse. Shout out Salima. We met online through IG, and she submitted an amazing playlist a few months ago called From London to Croydon, I believe. Or is it Croydon to London? One of those. But it's on the Playlist Posse, Spotify, Apple, and Tidal. So you can go listen to it. But yeah, met up with her. We had fun. We went to see Tyler Mitchell's work, who, if you didn't know, that's like definitely my favorite contemporary photographer. Um, like naturally, he's amazing. And so I finally got to see like his work in real life, and he did like it was the last day to see that work that he had up, and then we went to go see Black Panther. Like what a nice recovery day. Then I took the bus back home. Because the trains were going to stop and the bus was the only thing that was going to take me straight back. So I was proud of myself in that because there was a temptation to just be like, let me take a cab and pay £80. But my friend was just like, I'll wait with you. Like, you'll be fine. And so I just like stayed on the phone with my fam when I was walking back because, you know, now you're aware. So, but yeah, the rest of the trip was great. That Sunday, I went to my cousin's and spent some time on the countryside, and it was beautiful. So I actually found out where I was staying was right on the same street that she used to live, which was where I stayed the last time I was there. Totally like unplanned. And it was really cool. Like 6 years later, I'm like looking at the street like, this looks so familiar. And then I see the name, and I was like, that was her old apartment. Now she lives out in Kent in the countryside, about an hour out of London, in a beautiful Victorian home. And so it was just nice to see that and spend time with her, and then spent time with my other family. She's on my mom's side, and then my other family on my dad's side, my cousin, my family. And yeah, it was just a great time. And I was glad I took, those first few days to kind of do my own thing and be by myself, because I think a part of me was just like, I shouldn't have, booked to stay alone and done that immediately when I came into the country. Maybe my phone would have gotten stolen. I wouldn't have been in that situation. But, you live and you learn, and there's so many lessons and like a much needed break from things that have happened because of that. Obviously, I would still love to have my phone because I have to buy a new phone and pay off the phone that was stolen. So I'm not saying like this was a blessing in disguise. Thank God for the person that stole my phone. May God bless them. Mm-mm. My mother was praying some real Nigerian prayers. You know what I'm saying? Some real Caribbean prayers. May your fingers burn off every time you try to type on that phone. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that, but I yeah, it's just like a mixed feeling. Like there's probably certain circumstances that put people in a situation of doing something like that are not always their fault, but everyone has choices, right? Within the societies that we live in. And so trying to hold space for that tension has been, you know, difficult, but worth it. And as I said, like after that, I kind of let it go. But like a week into it being stolen, it popped up on the temporary phone I had. Like it was found in this odd country, and I don't think it really was. I think they just found a way to change the location and, you know, disable the Find My and blah, 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 blah. So that kind of like shook me up a bit, and I started trying to like contact, but I was just like, yeah, let it go. Let it go, girl. So I have had to be extremely patient. I have been back in the US for, I guess, almost 2 weeks now. Wait, no. Yeah. I came back to the States on the 22nd of November, and today is December 5th. So, yeah, a little while. And traveling without a phone has not been fun. I had to go to Pittsburgh for a day this past week to, like, second shoot with a friend. And then this Thursday, I'll be heading to Austin to celebrate with our friends out there. And I know for sure I need to get this phone situation solved. So, yeah, that's kind of like what happened in London. But it's led to more reflective ways of showing up and being present. There are things that kind of came out of that, being able to like sit at a coffee shop and just journal and look outside and like pay attention to what's around me. And I'm having lots of trouble logging into iCloud. So even in the US, I can't even like get back into the phone quickly. You know, like there's still this emphasis on being patient and pausing. And so it's frustrating, but it's also kind of like liberating in this very like unplanned way. And it makes me feel like, you know, maybe I'll go another month without a proper iPhone and just kind of like get service on this old iPhone 8 and just keep rocking a little bit. Yeah, it's challenging, but I think especially as a person that works in media, I get so like into the idea of like I can't not document this. Like I have to do for myself what I do for others. But the reality is like you have to still be very intentional about how you go about doing that. I've been looking in that I made a conscious effort in my mind. I wanted to be looking at the lens, and I was looking here. That must be so annoying to see as a viewer. Anyways, I've got about 1 minute left on this card, and so there's the story of how my phone got stolen in London and why I'm offline a bit right now in social media-ish quick satisfaction kind of ways, because I guess this will be on the internet. So I don't know, let's just let Andre Crouch take us out. I don't really know what this is even called yet. It's just I'm here. I'm still here. Is that what the podcast is called? I'm here. No, that's terrible. I don't know. Life in halftime. Ooh, I've been really into half frame cameras. No, that doesn't work because it's like pacing slower, time. I don't know. We'll work on it. All right. Shout out to Andre. Shout out to Jesus. I'm glad he did. I cannot believe I was looking right here this whole time. I'm so sorry.